Francis is in the middle of an Asia-Pacific tour to connect with Catholics in countries including Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, and Timor-Leste. But Bloomberg opinion columnist Karishma Vaswani says the trip is a dress rehearsal for a more coveted prize, a potential visit to Beijing. She joins us now from Singapore. Karishma, how important is China for the Pope?
Hugely important, Sherry. And just to say that Pope Francis will be in Singapore this week as well. It is the last leg of this historic voyage, and this discussion about China should surely not take away from the trip that he has been making throughout the region, where there are sizable populations of Catholics in those countries. But specifically with regards to China, it's been a stated ambition of the Church to try and heal and bridge the divide there. Now, for the purposes of explaining to our audiences what that specifically means, there are Catholics around between 10 to 12 million, according to independent estimates in China, many of whom practice or worship under the Communist Party, and many of whom practice or worship in secret in underground churches, pledging their allegiance to the Catholic Church. This is seen as what is known as a schism in Catholicism, and that is something that the Pope is trying to heal, to bridge that divide, and that is why China is so important to the Catholic Church.
China has such a deeply complicated history when it comes to allowing and controlling religious freedoms. Is there a way to kind of see these compromises being made, right? Would the Catholic Church want to make these compromises going forward in these overtures to the Communist Party?
I don't want to speak on behalf of the Catholic Church, but certainly from what I've observed in my reporting and research, what we've already seen is in 2018, there was a sort of compromise struck between the Church and China, one that was heavily criticized by many high-profile members of the clergy who said that the discussions around the appointment of bishops, which historically in China, the Communist Party has controlled, and now as a result of this agreement between the Church and China, the two sides would end up appointing candidates together. Many members of the clergy, including the now retired Cardinal Zen of Hong Kong, said that this was effectively ceding far too much control to the Communist Party. Now, as you point out, Heidi, there is a great deal of concern over religious freedoms in China. There is a lot of data to point to the fact that religious oppression is a real problem. And in my column, I argue that sacrificing principles for progress is not the way to go about trying to heal this schism in China.